Well, we are now 3 weeks into the federal government shutdown.
And as ABC's Avery Harper explains, lawmakers in Washington don't seem any closer to securing a deal to reopen it.
Today marks exactly 3 weeks of the government shutdown. And on Capitol Hill, negotiations at a standstill.
That this is now the longest full shutdown in American history.
The fight, Democrats say, hinges on extending Affordable Care Act tax credits and preventing a hike in insurance premiums for millions. The clock is ticking. Open enrollment slated to start on November 1st.
By that point, tens of millions of people across the country will realize that their health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles have skyrocketed.
For federal workers and their families, the impact of the government shutdown hits close to home. Imelda Avila Thomas, a union leader furloughed from the Department of Labor, worries how long she and her husband, who works at the VA, can go without paychecks.
We are regular people. We're not millionaires. You know, we're regular people.
The effects of the shutdown also disrupting travel across the country. The FAA forced to temporarily halt flights bound for Austin, Texas yesterday due to air traffic controllers staffing shortages and delays slowing travel at major airports in Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Newark. Some air traffic controllers who have been forced to work without pay calling out. And 1,400 federal workers who safeguard the nation's nuclear stockpile have been furloughed, leaving only 400 on the job. But officials insist there's no immediate threat to national security. As the shutdown wears on, demolition starting at the White House to make way for a $250 million ballroom. The White House says it will be funded without taxpayer dollars. Yesterday, at an event inside the White House, the president acknowledging the demolition, heavily criticized by Democrats.
Right on the other side, you have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically.
The impact of the federal government shutdown could grow even worse. Food assistance programs like SNAP could run out of money by the end of the month. That's a program that keeps food on the table for 40 million Americans. Avery Harper, ABC News, Washington.
All right, let's look out there with live cam this afternoon. Yes, it's a little humid, and yes, we're at 83 degrees, but it doesn't bother me because I know we have a promise of rain this weekend and slightly cooler temperatures next week maybe, right, Shelby?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone wants the cooler temperatures, they want the rain. However, with rain, normally we do see molds have a slight increase. Now, both molds and ragweed are sitting low levels today, and we want the rain because the aquifer is still over a foot down today. But like we've been mentioning, there is a small chance of rain, so the aquifer could go up, hopefully. But the rain chances don't arrive till this weekend, starting Friday and even going into Saturday. I'll give you a future cast of what you need to know coming up after the break.
And again, while the food bank braces for an increase in people needing help, the city of Seguin is doing what they can to help their residents out. So the city, the Seguin ISD, and Niagara Cares teamed up to provide meal kits for families in need.
It's awesome to help the community. Like, a lot of people need it nowadays.
As the cost of everything is increasing, so is the need for help. Groceries cost more, gas costs more, the bills keep going up, and for some families in Seguin, it is getting harder to stretch things out.
Food scarcity is a real thing, and right now with prices increasing, there's sometimes some choices made about things. So this will help fill that gap.
According to Census Bureau data from 2023, nearly 18% of people living in Seguin are living below the poverty line. That means they are bringing in just under $31,000. So that's why the charitable arm of Niagara Bottling teamed up with local officials to help distribute family kits to 400 families.
Since we have 25 pounds of food, it's nutritional food, shelf stable for the families, and it gives them a week's supply of food for that.
And with 7 people moving to Seguin every single day, the need will continue to grow.
Exactly. So one of the things is we have all these homes in the pipeline for the next few years. We have all these businesses coming. We have affordable land. We have affordable housing. We have diversity in housing. But we're not perfect. We still have that underlying the issues that all communities have. But we're able to help better take care of those because of all that's coming in.
Well, the mayor tells us that this is just one of many distributions that are planned in Seguin to help families. She says that Texas Lutheran University and the Guadalupe Regional Hospital is also working with the city to provide distributions like today's.
Well, we've been teasing it the last few days is the chance of rain for us as we get to the weekend, which I know is not the best timing, especially with Muertos Fest coming up this weekend, but it's much needed rain for most of us. Now that comes later on this weekend, and today the only battle is the cloud coverage for the next few hours and the dew point temperatures. It's going to be feeling a little muggy. 83 degrees sitting in San Antonio right now, 86 in Floresville. Dew point temperatures still sitting in the 60s and 70s, but they're finally starting to drop for some people. And throughout the next few hours, we are still expecting our temperatures to get to either the upper 80s or the low 90s for most of us. Still some slightly breezier winds gusting up to about 20 miles an hour. But this afternoon, it is going to be a beautiful evening for most of us, but we're also going to start to see that lower humidity. In some portions, even some drier conditions with some stronger winds could have a risk of, if there are any brush fires that start, do have that chance to really spread quickly. But the good news is, as that sun starts to set, we get a little bit more humidity, not a lot, but enough, and the winds die down. So the risk does continue to decrease overnight tonight. Already starting to see the temperatures drop below 80s by about 10 o'clock tonight. But then the rain chances really start to pick up. And what we're watching is this area of low pressure just off the coast of California. That today and tomorrow over the next few days is expected to get closer to areas of the Four Corners. And once it gets to the Rockies, it is going to have a weak cool front associated with this. Now, this could have a good and a bad impact for San Antonio, and I'll tell you why. As that low pressure system gets all of that moisture from the Rockies, it also is going to mix with a little bit of that moisture and that upper level moisture from the Gulf. And as that does, that weak cool front associated with it is expected to push down. We are talking about a chance of some rain starting Friday evening, going through the overnight hours into Saturday morning, moving through San Antonio relatively slowly, and finally pushing out by about Saturday at lunchtime. But what we're watching is Saturday afternoon, there is a very small chance that there could be a few extra showers near the coastal plains and maybe even up towards Austin. It does seem that most of it's going to be to the east of us in the afternoon. But you will want to check back with us because it is still a decent ways away and things can change ever so slightly. But what we're watching is that chance of some rain on this weekend and Friday and Saturday to produce some nice rainfall totals. Now through Saturday, most of the rain is going to be up near Oklahoma City and even towards Houston. But zooming into San Antonio, for the rainfall totals you can expect, well, along Highway 90 into the north or even I-10, that's where we're tracking the heaviest rainfall totals. And this weather model is tracking a chance of a bullseye to get maybe 3 inches of rain. Really, though, what we're tracking is along I-10 and Highway 90 to the north could see more than an inch, but just to the south and even near the coastal plains, it is going to be very isolated on which areas do see more rain or less rain, and it's still a ways away. So check back with us. We'll continue to keep you posted, but the precipitation outlook over the next 2 weeks, it's pretty much staying below average for the rainfall possibility. So after the rain we received this week, there is another chance next week for some sort of rainfall chances. But all of the rain-making energy we're receiving this weekend and next week is going to push off to the East Coast, giving them a chance of more rain. And really, we need the rain for us in San Antonio. So what we're watching is the rain chances this week, really only Friday and Saturday, a 40 to 30% chance as we go throughout the weekend. Now with the cool front today and even this week, we're not really tracking a heavier chance of the cooler temperatures that everyone knows and loves, especially considering Halloween is in a week. But we could see some sort of cooler temperatures possible next week. I'll tell you what you need to know about that and give you an overview of Halloween coming up later on, guys.
At least there's something on the screen.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Shelby. Well, having a good bedtime routine can help you set up for quality sleep, but your sleep position may matter just as much. How to make sure you're sleeping in a way to maximize the benefits of your rest. It is a critical part of overall health, but 1 in 3 U.S. adults don't regularly get the recommended amount of uninterrupted sleep every night. That's according to the National Institutes of Health.
And an expert says that it may, in part, have something to do with the way you sleep. So our Sarah Costa explains why your sleeping position matters.
It's a basic human need, sleep. It restores the body, and not getting enough good quality sleep can actually make you sick.
We tend to develop chronic diseases.
Sleep neurologist Dr. Nancy Foldberry with Cleveland Clinic says your position in bed can affect whether you get a good night's sleep, especially if you have certain medical conditions.
Probably 30% of men, 10% of women in their middle-aged years have sleep apnea, and the prevalence of that increases as we get older.
Foldberry recommends sleep on your side. If you have obstructive sleep apnea or other chronic conditions like heart failure or arthritis, and if you have acid reflux, she says sleep on your left side. Not sleeping on your back can help airways clear.
I'm sure we can all resonate with the story of the loud snorer on their back and the bed partner does the elbow to get that person to roll over onto their side.
If you have chronic nasal congestion or have a deviated septum, Foldberry says side sleep is also recommended. If one side of your nose is more stuffy than the other, she says to sleep on the side that allows the blocked nostril to be upright. Sleeping with your head slightly elevated can also help.
I've got many patients who sleep much better on their right side than their left side, and it's not clear why, but you're aiming to sleep in the position that is going to make you feel the most refreshed.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
Well, artificial intelligence tools are changing the way that classrooms function. This can lead to a lot of innovation. However, why some are raising concerns despite the potential benefits.
A man is in custody today after police say he threatened a mass shooting at the world's busiest airport. I'm Christiane Cordero in Washington with that story coming up.
Well, Texas Cyber Command has officially launched at UTSA, and it aims to protect the state from constant cyber attacks. This was created by Governor Greg Abbott earlier this year, and it's set to be the largest state-run cyber defense team in the country. Retired Navy Vice Admiral T.J. White will lead the command. He says they are focusing on building a strong, coordinated defense against digital threats.
Day one of early voting for the November 4th election is in the books. Just over 10,000 of you already cast your ballot. A downtown Spurs Arena and East Side Rodeo District are on the Bexar County ballots. Voters in Bexar County will decide whether to use a venue tax on hotel stays and short-term car rentals to help fund the projects. Proposition A would redevelop the Spurs' current East Side home. It would turn the Frostbank Center, Freeman Coliseum, and surrounding area into a year-round stock show and rodeo district. And Proposition B would help pay for a new Spurs Arena. That's a key part of the city's wider plans for a sports and entertainment district, which you know as Project Marvel. The money from the Bexar County only covers a portion of the arena's $1.3 billion cost, but the larger funding scheme relies on it passing. We've been asking the Spurs leadership and representatives what the team will do if the current deal falls through.
Our message today is that we're asking all the voters to go out, yes, for Prop A and Prop B. We're excited that it's going to pass, and we're looking forward to passage on Prop A and Prop B.
The team has not addressed what it will do if the ballot measure fails. And remember, don't wear Spurs or rodeo gear to the polls. Both are part of the ballot measures, so wearing gear associated with them can be seen as electioneering, which is illegal. So if you show up with Spurs or rodeo clothes, meaning the rodeo logo itself, the poll workers may ask you to take it off or turn your clothes inside out.
And here's a reminder, some important election dates are on your screen now, like October 31st. That's when early voting ends. And just remember that our KSAT, our website, is your election home for these dates and everything else. You can just scan that QR code on your screen.
Taking a look outside with live cam, we're celebrating little wins in this month of October. There are a couple coming up.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, Courtney and Steph, there's already one little win that I like to call a weak cool front just knocking on our doorstep here in South Texas. Now, with that, it is going to allow that humidity to really decrease today, but it's also bringing some folks some cooler temperatures just to the north of us. Now, take a look at your current temperatures. 83 degrees in San Antonio, but as you get up to the hill country, they're sitting in the 70s because that weak cool front is allowing for some folks to see some cooler temperatures temperatures, but it might not make its way all the way to San Antonio with that cooler air. Now, it is still going to have an impact on our humidity. We're still seeing dew point temperatures already start to decrease, and it's right on our doorstep. Still feeling a little muggy and a little tropical for us in San Antonio. And throughout the next few hours, expect the temperature to still increase to the 90s. It is October. That's been the tradition over the last few weeks. Is we're still allowing our temperatures to get on the warmer side, still almost 10 degrees above our average temperature. And this weekend we are expecting some rain, which also hasn't really been the normal of the last few days. We've been in a dry stretch for 43 days where we haven't really seen more than a few hundredths of an inch of rain, at least at the San Antonio airport. Other areas, especially near Helotes and Leon Springs, have seen a little bit more rainfall accumulation, but really at the San Antonio airport, it's been 43 days. So we are expecting some lower humidity this afternoon. Some rain chances return as we go into the weekend and next week, up to about an inch or so. But not only that, the reason we're seeing some chances of rain this week is because of yet another cool front arriving into areas of South Texas. I'll break down how cool we could actually get, plus take a very far out look of what you could expect for Halloween coming up in just a bit, guys.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, a former Bexar County constable who was at the center of numerous KSAT investigations is running for state representative now. Michelle Barrientos Vela confirmed to KSAT that she is running as a Democrat in District 125. State Representative Ray Lopez holds that seat right now. He is retiring next year. So if you remember, Barrientos Vela was convicted, then exonerated of tampering with evidence charges related to her time in office as constable. She also unsuccessfully ran for Bexar County Sheriff back in 2020. The primary takes place in March.
Well, they fight fires, respond to medical emergencies, and save lives, but they have not been paid this month. They're federal workers at local military-based fire departments, now furloughed because of the government shutdown. They still have to work, but they're not getting paychecks. I saw firsthand how a local veterans organization is stepping up to help.
I can go get them Friday and we can either hand them out.
These men put their lives on the line even when they're not getting paid.
Well, even though people are shut down and going home, we still have to show up every day. We don't get to make business decisions. We have to actually show up and still fight fire, respond to any medical emergencies and stuff like that.
Jesse Rico is a firefighter at Lackland Air Force Base and the president of the Firefighters Association for Lackland, Randolph, and Fort Sam Houston. All these people in the category of furloughed federal workers.
How long has it been since you've gotten a paycheck?
We're probably going on about a month. We actually work a 48 on schedule and 48 off, so it's a 144-hour work week.
Do you have a family at home?
Yes, I do.
You have kids?
Yes, I have several kids.
Lackland Fire Inspector Derek Ramsey has a family of 5.
So me not be able to be there for them that financially the way I'm supposed to, it kind of hurts. $100 each week up.
He joined his brothers in the Federal Fire Service today at the San Antonio Coalition for Veterans and Families, which gave out $100 HEB gift cards. The nonprofit addresses emergency needs of military members and veterans.
Because we saw in the community there was a lot of need, that there's just so much red tape.
Over the years, the coalition has paid for hundreds of clients' hotels, groceries, even utility bills. Now, Director Tony Fuentes and his street team are focused on furloughed workers.
I know $100 is not a lot, but it's going to help them.
The San Antonio Coalition, solid. I mean, it's a godsend.
They do utility assistance. Would you accept that help as well?
Oh, yes, yes. A lot of our members have actually been using that already as well, and it's been a blessing, truly.
While they live day to day, they want the government to see how this shutdown is affecting real people.
My hands up in the air, I'm like, okay, how hard is it to make a budget? You know, we teach this in elementary school, making a budget. Do it.
In 5 years, the coalition nonprofit has grown, even securing a Bexar County grant, but it does still mainly survive on private donations. Any veterans, military members, or federal workers can reach out if they need help. We have their contact information on KSAT.com.
Well, talks between the White House and Russia appear to be stalling. Last week, President Donald Trump said he and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed for their advisors to meet this week. However, an anticipated meeting between the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Russian counterpart carnival had been tabled. So it's not exactly clear why. CNN is reporting that one source says that it's because Russia has not evolved its stance enough to reach an end to its war with Ukraine. It is not known if the delay will impact an anticipated summit between Trump and Putin in Budapest, Hungary, next week.
The maker of Tylenol is pushing back on a proposed change to the product's safety label. Kenvue said the FDA should not change Tylenol's label to reflect possible connections between use during pregnancy and the diagnosis of autism in children. The company stated the revisions would be arbitrary, capricious, and contrary to law. The statement comes after President Donald Trump encouraged pregnant women to stop taking acetaminophen last month. Without evidence, Trump claimed acetaminophen is linked to autism. Current Tylenol safety labels instruct people who are pregnant or breastfeeding to ask a health professional before use. According to doctors and research, taking the pain reliever during pregnancy remains safe.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Wednesday on the news at 6.
3 years since I first met you?
Yeah.
What has changed in 3 years?
A story about making the most out of a second chance.
I know for a fact people could change. You know what I'm saying? Looking at change, right, Chuck?
I've seen it. I've seen people change their lives.
From decades in prison to a national honor, it's a KSAT follow-up 3 years in the making.
What's it mean to you to be able to say all of that?
I want to help guys that were like me.
It's Wednesday on the news at 6.
Well, police in Atlanta say they averted a potential mass shooting.
A convicted felon with a known mental health issue was allegedly scoped out at a terminal at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport with an assault-style rifle and ammunition in his truck parked outside. That's according to police.
ABC's Christiane Cordero has a video of the moment that police took the suspect into custody.
Today, a Georgia man is in custody, suspected of threatening a mass shooting attack at the world's busiest airport, a plan police say they foiled just as he was carrying it out.
I'm just here. Put your hands behind your back, sir.
Investigators say the suspect, 49-year-old Billy Cagle of Cartersville, Georgia, has a felony record and a history of mental health issues. Police say Cagle's family called law enforcement yesterday morning.
Cartersville Police Department was alerted by the family of Mr. Cagle that he was streaming on social media, that he was headed to the airport, in their words, to shoot it up.
Surveillance video shows Cagle's truck parked outside of the terminal around 9:30 a.m. yesterday. He then walked into the terminal 2 minutes later. Police believe he was scouting the area and planned to return to his truck to get his weapon.
He seemed to be very interested in the TSA check-in area, which you can see was heavily crowded.
Officers with a picture of the suspect on their phone when they walk up to Cagle. Officers say they arrested Cagle in the terminal 15 minutes after receiving their first alert. They add Cagle didn't have a gun on him, but they recovered an AR-15 style rifle and 27 rounds of ammunition in his truck parked outside.
We're here today briefing you on a success and not a tragedy, because a family saw something and said something.
Cagle now faces several terroristic and assault charges, plus possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. His first court hearing is scheduled for tomorrow. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Taking a look outside with live cam, although it's still a little muggy and a lot of people don't want to see the mugginess, we're starting to see a breakup in the clouds, which is going to be a good thing, especially for us. It is going to allow for a drier afternoon, but not only a drier afternoon, we're also tracking below average precipitation expected for portions of Texas over the next 2 weeks. This is going through Halloween, but not only that, we're also expecting to be either right on the border of above average to below average, or even just sitting average. I'll talk about what's causing the chance of some average temperatures right up and around Halloween coming up after the break.
I heard chatter around the newsroom about Christmas. I'm like, wait, we have to get to Halloween first. And it doesn't even feel cool outside yet.
I know.
Not yet,
Steph, you're going to be sad. I did decorate my Christmas card yesterday. I also bought a Santa because I was at Home Goods and it just was there because Home Goods has just amount of Christmas stuff as Halloween and fall. I will keep the fall stuff up until the first or 2 weeks of November, and then Christmas goes up. But I really want to see the fall temperatures.
Yeah.
I don't want the Christmas and the winter conditions yet. I'd want to be able to feel the fall temperatures. And when you guys look at how warm we've been the entire month of October, it doesn't really feel like fall. We've been above average the entire month. Even on Saturday, we broke a record, or at least tied our record, that was set back in the 1990s for how warm we've been. And sadly, we're going to continue to at least be a little warmer, especially because the weather has been between upper 80s to even 93 degrees for the last 20 days. And today, we're adding yet another 90-degree day or even upper 80-degree day for us in San Antonio. We are expecting temperatures to be right between the 88 to 90-degree range. It all depends on the timing of that weak cool front that I showed you earlier and how fast or how slow it actually gets to San Antonio. If it picks up the speed just a little bit, then we might be able to see the temperatures in the 90s. But if it slows down, we might only get to about 88 degrees. But we are still expecting that cloud coverage to really start to clear as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon and even into the evening hours. But the reason we've been so warm the entire month of October is because of this area of high pressure. We've had multiple area of high pressures just sit in camp over areas of South Texas, the Gulf Coast. But what we're watching to bring the rain for this weekend is that low just off the coast of California. But there's other weather makers to talk about, especially two low pressure systems to the north. The one up near the Great Lakes, that actually is the reason we have that cool front. That cool front also decided to detach from the main center of low pressure, and that's bringing some rain and some thunderstorms to Houston, thunderstorms all the way through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana. But there's also another low pressure system on the other side of it near Maine. But the reason I'm talking about this is that cool front that's coming through tonight, it is bringing some cooler temperatures for most of the country. Now, how cold are we talking about? Well, some of that cooler air behind it, we're talking sub-freezing temperatures up in areas near Johnson Point or even in Eureka, sitting at exactly 0. Now, we're not expecting any of these cooler temperatures, but some of that cool air is already starting to feed down throughout portions of the country. Wichita is only sitting at about 66. Pierce, South Dakota, sitting at about 48. Now, San Antonio, we're still sitting on the warmer side ahead of that cold front. But what we're watching is some of that cooler air to really start to feed in behind that low pressure system. But once again, in true fashion, we're still sitting under that area of high pressure as we head into the weekend, tracking another chance of a cool front and some cooler Canadian air, I should say, coming in behind it in the Pacific Northwest. Now, that's what we're watching for next week. Most of the country, in fact, might be sitting below average and seeing some cooler air next weekend, which could have some cooler temperatures for some folks for Halloween. For us in San Antonio, it is still a ways away, so we will continue to keep you posted. It is tracking like we are going to be either at average or just above our average temperature, which means more of the 60s, more of the 80s, but we'll continue to keep you posted.
All right, thanks so much, Shelby. Well, more classrooms are going high-tech using artificial intelligence. That means more opportunities for students. It could also mean new dangers, though. The pitfalls that happen when students use AI without guidance. Well, more schools are reporting using artificial intelligence in the classroom, but mental health professionals are warning parents and teachers about AI's potential dangers.
And our Daphne Gray looks at how AI is impacting teens, their relationships, and how parents can talk to their kids about the pros and the cons.
More schools are using AI tools to enhance learning in the classroom.
Use of AI in schools is at record levels.
Elizabeth Laird works at the Center for Democracy and Technology. They recently conducted a survey asking public school teachers, parents, and high schoolers about AI use. 85% of the teachers say that they've used AI in at least one way in the past school year. But here's where the survey turns alarming.
Only 11% of teachers say that their school has given them any type of guidance or training on how to respond if they suspect that a student's use of this technology, they're potentially using it in ways that could be detrimental to their health and well-being.
Nearly half the students reported they or a friend of theirs used AI as a friend and to get mental health support. And 1 in 5 students say that they or someone they know has had a romantic relationship with AI.
The bad news is that the risks that we're talking about today, including students' potentially unhealthy relationship with this technology, are rarely covered.
The American Psychological Association says it's important to monitor children and teens' use of AI so we don't repeat the same harmful mistakes researchers say are made with social media. They recommend parents talk to their children about how they're using AI, make it clear AI is not a substitute for real relationships, not all information is accurate, and review privacy settings together. Daphne Gray, KSAT 12 News.